Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show, we're talking about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the series premiere of new Saga. Great series premiere. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So, I didn't know much about the series because I've never read the novel/light novel. And so the only thing I knew going into the series was the general premise of, you killed the Demon King, but basically something went wrong, and basically you end up rewinding, going back into the past to try and take what you've learned and prevent the future you came from happening. I've come across at least few stories that have utilized that, specifically like webtoon and manga, so I'm sure there's plenty of things that have probably utilized that story, especially in a more fantastical setting. It's funny, I was just watching something today. Specifically, it was the latest episode of Apocalypse Bringer. Minogar, I always struggle with that name. And I made reference to a webtoon I'm reading called I Killed the Main Player. And I was referencing like specific like a small element of it in correlation with this latest episode, but it's kind of the perfect thing to kind of bring up in relation to this story because it's a similar thing. It's a fantastical story, but it has a time travel element where like, hey, they basically got to the end of the story specifically, but the final boss won, and so time rewinds. But the interesting twist on that too is like on top of it being that time travel story element, it's also an isekai. So I just think that's kind of interesting. But either way. Getting into it, like we learn a lot of the lore of this world. Obviously, there's the humanoids, the elves, the humans, and the dwarves who have been at war for so long with the demons. So like the continent is divided with like I think like the demons in the east and the humanoids in the west. If I'm remembering correctly, could be switch. But either way, 300 years ago, the demon king at the time ended up basically starting a ceasefire and basically led to a very mutual bout of peace between all the groups. But then, like, as we learn, like, 4 years, well, like, basically almost like a year ago or whatever is when the Great Invasion happened because the new Demon King decided to invade the other, like the humanoids, and try and like broke that 300 years of treaty. And so there's a lot of questions immediately. First and foremost, what is the lifespan of a demon? Like the Demon King that started the peace like 300 years ago, how many kings existed between them and the newest one? Like, did this new king usurp the throne by killing their predecessor or what? Like, did they just take the throne? Because, I mean, obviously, it's probably like the demons do their thing and the humanoids do theirs. So, like, who knows how much anyone knows? I mean, it's the first episode, so there's a lot we don't know. We don't know what Kyle knows at the time. Nothing in the story has kind of presented itself in a way where Kyle needs to disseminate that information, like, you know, to any other character, but specifically, you know, the audience is watching this. But either way, like, it's kind of like the final charge because most of humanity, the humanoids have been wiped out. There's been a lot of death and destruction. And, like, the last gambit they have is going to a full-on assault trying to assassinate the Demon King. And the numbers are dwindled down as they make it to the end. It's Therion fighting like, so that, what's her name? Like, I think it's like Urzu or something like that. Her and Kyle make it to the end. She gets completely obliterated by an attack that basically, it's almost like it deletes anything it comes into contact with, and it broke through her barrier and killed her. And now Kyle has to face it, which every time this thing lands a hit on this energy lands a hit on him, it literally is taking out chunks of his body, like in pieces. As we also find out he has a sword that he has a special connection with. It's like, and I wonder, like, is it the spirit of somebody embedded into the sword? Like, how that whole situation worked, we'll definitely have to wait to find out what that situation is. But Kyle's putting it all on the line, his life as well as the swords. And in one fell stab, really, they end up killing the Demon King. But the entire time, I'm like, they go out of their way to not show you what the Demon King looks like. So it has to be like a reveal. Like, it's probably a thing of Kyle probably never felt like he needed to know, but now in retrospect, he probably does, because eventually, like, maybe, I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but now back in the past, the new Demon King probably hasn't taken over yet, but you need to find out. It's probably like it's the age old time travel Hitler question of, if you go back in time, would you kill Hitler before Hitler became, well, Hitler? Would you kill baby Hitler type of situation? So I mean, obviously Kyle was only going back 4 years, but still he might be able to nip the Demon King in the bud before they became the current Demon King that led to all that death and destruction. So I mean, Kyle like felt the quietness because it's like everyone I ever cared about is gone and dead, so he was ready to just kind of join their side, because for him it's like, my home is gone, my family's gone, my friends are gone, my beloved is gone, so like what's there to live for? But then like the magic from a nearby stone is activated. He's like, I gotta stop that because who knows what it's going to do if it leaks out. And in that moment he wakes up 4 years in the past, and it's like at first he thinks it's a dream, and he gets waken up by is it Lassie, who seems to be the beloved that he was talking about. I wonder if it's like it seems like it's a childhood friend thing, but like he grabs on her. I wasn't expecting, I mean, granted, once again, it's 4 years. Well, it's not just 4 years, because I was about to say like who knows, because it was more like 3 years, because we end up finding out from Kyle the invasion actually doesn't start until like happens 3 years from now. So all that death and destruction happened in like a year and less chunk of time, which is kind of sad to know that. But he's got basically 3 years to prepare before the invasion ends up happening. But like let's say like ended up dying beforehand, so because their hometown is pretty close to the demon territory, and so they were probably like one of the first places to end up getting destroyed and death and destruction raining down upon them because of their location. And he lost the person he loves. Because I was curious, like, did anything, like maybe in that 3 year period they did, because like he's hugging her and he's squeezing her butt. I was almost like, hey yo, I wasn't expecting like but once again, we don't know what their relationship was. But like I said, like, in that time frame, what could have developed, what went from we're obviously into each other and we're childhood friends, but we come so much more type of situation. So, but then she proceeds to give him like hell of a gut punch, and it sends him spiraling. And he's like, wait, this isn't a dream. That hurt. And then he finds the stone inside of his bed and is like, wait, did I actually go back in time? And then, like, he sees his friend, Therion, which I'm like, last time I saw you, we were literally fighting side by side. I can only assume you didn't survive, because I thought that was interesting, too, because if you look at that scene, he's facing off against two enemies. One's kind of, like, more armored up, and another is, like, this red-headed horned woman. But there was someone chained up behind her, and I don't know if that's, like, a human they were experimenting. Well, a humanoid, because it could have been someone from the other species. It might have been an elf or something, but it was someone in raggedy clothes, like, chained up. And I don't know if that's like someone that Therion knew, or because they kind of did focus on them, so I don't know like the significance of that or not. But yeah, it's like, right, you were just by my side fighting, and now I'm fighting myself here. And he's trying to make sense of it. I was like, did I really go back in time? And he's like, did this stone do it? That's not possible, right? So he goes, asks the one person he can, his mom, which, she died as well. So it's kind of like, oh, I'm happy to see you. Need to ask his mom a whole bunch of questions. She says that time travel, rewinding time is real with magic, but no one knows how to do it because it takes a massive amount. She says you basically have to wipe out half the continent to do it. And now that kind of makes, Kyle start thinking, like, wait, is that why the new Demon King started this war? Like they were trying to do, but why? What were they trying to go back in time for? So it begs the question, and I think that's where the significance of, we don't know the new Demon King's reason for doing what they're doing. It's like, I will sacrifice and make all these sacrifices I need to for the, like, not even greater good. I'm doing it for my own selfish reasons. Like maybe the other demons are just power hungry and death hungry. So it's like, right, whoever this was might have been a weakling amongst the demons and then worked their way up and usurped the throne and took it by force. But it's like all for the purpose of, I want to rewind time to fix a mistake. Because even Kyle's mom was saying that even if someone had used all the magic in their body to rewind time, that would only be enough to go back like a second, which is interesting because it's like all that death and destruction. That's pretty significant going back 4 years, but who knows how much time the Demon King was actually trying to go back. Like, you know, I mean, would he be so willing? Who would I have to specify they? Because we don't know how much time were they trying to rewind. Like, would they have sacrificed demons if need be? Because it's basically magical life force is what's needed to like magic, but like life force of people being sacrificed was acts as the magic. So, and the only container for it is basically a specialized heart of a dragon that existed for like 1,000 years, but its power started depleting after a while. So, and I think the heart went missing, and no one knows where it was. And even his mom was like, "We assume that the demons had their hands on it. Must be for the new Demon King that ended up having it after all this time." So, we learned a little bit where his mom, it's like, oh, it seems like him and his mom were a little distant, maybe. Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe they were able to make up a little bit before she died. But the fact is, she's like, oh, you quit sword training, and then you weren't, like, we weren't as close. So I wonder what happened to make him do all that. And, he feels guilty because it's probably like, right, all the time we wasted when we could have been making things right and better between us. I'm watching another anime that kind of deals with a similar protagonist having regrets about the time wasted between him and his mom. So it's kind of interesting on that front. It is also interesting too, and I think that's probably significant that Kyle ended up going back in time. Like, today is his birthday, which I love that it's both Therion as well as his mom making the joke of, well, that meal you ate all by yourself, that could be your birthday present. He's like, why is everyone trying to cheap out on a gift for me? But, I think that probably might be significant. Like, why specifically this day out of any day he could have rewound? Like, was this exactly 4 years ago from like where the beginning of the story happened? Was it exactly 4 years ago? So did that all go down on his birthday, which is extra effed up? Or, that's kind of interesting. Because I believe I don't think we know the exact date. Maybe maybe it was referenced in the opening, but I know specifically it was like the 5th month. So I'm like, it probably is like roughly 3 years from now is not roughly, basically maybe exactly 3 years from now is when the Great Invasion ended up happening. So once again, it's just interesting, like, if that is the case, like on the exact day, because it can't be the exact day, because I'm like, that's too much to kind of like revolve around your birthday for you to potentially have killed the new Demon King on your birthday, rewound time to your birthday 4 years ago, and the invasion is going to happen on your birthday 3 years from now. Like, that's too coincidental. Once is just a one-off, twice is a coincidence, 3 times a pattern. So who knows? Like I said, I don't know if there's any significance of it, or it's just like this just happened to be the day. Because it just happened to pick this random day because that's as much magic that was gathered in the stone to take you back this far. But obviously being with Lisa again, and he tries to apologize to her, and she's like, oh, you must have had a bad dream and been distraught. He was like, yeah, I did. And she's like, was I dying? And he was like, yeah, something like that. She's like, well, it's kind of, for her, it's kind of nice knowing, like, okay, the only reason why you acted that way is because you're distraught. But for Kyle, it just reconfirmed for him what he needs to do. It's like, I need to make sure I've been given this opportunity and I can't let it be wasted. I'm going to change my fate, the fate of this world. And so he writes down everything he knows in the journal, but he's like, how do I handle this situation? Because he's like, I'm not strong enough to deal with the new Demon King on my own, and I can't really talk to anyone about it because everyone's just going to think I'm crazy otherwise. So that's also the complicated thing too. It's like he's got it memorized of like, all right, I'm trying to remember everything that I remember from up until now, and I've had it written down. But that's the thing. Once he starts changing events, because I've watched plenty of manhwa that deal with that whole like the whole isekai element of like, oh, you end up in a video game or book or story that you know so well, and so you try to keep the main story as close as possible because that's the way you navigate and survive. And this is kind of the same thing of, so you're going to make changes because you want to make the world a better place, but those changes will have ripple effects, and so events might not play out the way, either they'll change entirely, maybe they'll in fact end up getting pushed up way sooner. So a lot of that has to be considered, and I'm curious if Kyle really has thought about it. But for him, it's just like, because his main thing was like, because of Lisa's death, it's like, I wanted to get revenge. That was his main motive and operandum. And now it's like, I want to make sure everyone survives. I want to make sure this place is a better world. I want to make sure the people I care about and love are, able to survive. So I can't do this alone. So he's going to be gathering up allies. I think he's taking his sword because I think he's going to go train and see, like, all right, so how much of my skills, like, even though I've rewound, like, with the knowledge of the future, how much of my skills am I transferring back into this body? I have the knowledge, but can my body keep up? Once again, I'm able to kind of take that because, once again, I've read a few stories that have utilized certain elements of a rewinding and going back in time, and the present day, the past body not being able to keep up with what the future body could do. So I'm sure we'll probably display some more of that in the next episode, which I'm getting this a little late. So at the time of recording this, episodes 2 and 3 are already out. So I'm excited to jump into that and see where things go from there. Another wrinkle that has to also be considered too is he remembers everything. There might be a slight chance that, maybe enough of the new Demon King survive that maybe they have some of the knowledge. You can never be too careful because there could also be another character that also has maintained all of their memories for whatever reason. So, like I said, a lot of theorizing, a lot of speculation on my part. So I'm excited to see where everything ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. To the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.